number 272-31. I recognize the Vice Speaker. Mr. Vice Speaker, on Bill 272.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm not sure if, after having moved it to the side, whether I need to again move Bill 272 to the third reading file.
No.
Oh, we'll start all over. All right, then I'll make the motion to place Bill 272. No. Ask that Bill 272 as I haven't substituted it yet. Move 272 to the voting third reading file.
Okay. You're going to speak on it.
And ask to speak on it. I'd like to amend Bill 272, and I've circulated my proposed amendment to Bill 272. Madam Speaker, Bill 272 is a fairly simple bill. It's trying to address the conflict of interest that exists.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Vice Speaker, since before we left, there was a motion for an amendment at the time, and so can you withdraw that amendment first?
All right, I'll withdraw the amendment
Okay,
to
so
the original from yesterday.
From
Withdraw
yesterday,
yesterday's
okay.
amendment.
So on that motion, without any objection, so ordered.
I'll start
And
all
now-
over, and I'll move Bill 272 to the third reading file. Ask for an opportunity to speak. And straight off the bat, I'd like to move an amendment to Bill 272, and I've circulated the amendment. It starts at the top. It says line 10, page 1. Bill 272 is very simple, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. It tries to clarify what I thought was already in the law, but seems to be misunderstood or is not being followed, in that members of boards and commissions, whether they be appointed or elected, should not participate or enrich themselves by participating and purchasing services or goods from companies that they own, either their principal or have a financial interest in. And the amendment that I've proffered today reads fairly simple. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, any member of any elected or appointed board or commission shall be prohibited from acting or participating in discussion on any matter in which he is principal, has a financial interest in, or acts as an agent for anyone other than the government of Guam. Interests held in blind trust shall not be exempt from this provision. The member shall be prohibited from influencing any determination made by the board or commission on which he is a member, serves, and in which the member either participates personally and substantially through decision, approval, disapproval, recommendation, the rendering of advice, investigation, or otherwise, or which is the subject of the member's official responsibility where the government of Guam is a party or has a direct and substantial interest. Said prohibition shall be applicable during the tenure of the member and 1 year thereafter. The language that is utilized in this section, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, is language that is nearly identical to the ethical requirements that we place on all GovGuam employees in the procurement statute. And if we can place that on the employees in the procurement statute, I would hope that we would at least hold members and boards commissions to the same standard, and I ask for the support of my colleagues in the passage of this piece of legislation. Thank you.
On the amendment, any speakers? No objection? So ordered. So on the motion then to send 272 to the third reading file without any objections, so ordered. We're in our last bill, bill number 292, and I recognize Senator Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't know if I have to do the same thing and move to place Bill 292 to the third reading file and ask to be allowed to discuss this bill.
You may proceed. You didn't have any amendments, did you?
Yes, we do have, no,
No,
we didn't.
earlier,
No,
yesterday?
nothing.
None, okay, so it's the same. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, yesterday when we were briefly discussing this bill, there were some concerns that were raised and very valid concerns. And so what we did was try to get some clarification and additional information from the Community Health Center Executive Director, which is provided to the body. And based on that and based on the concerns that were raised, I'd like to propose an amendment, which was circulated now. And if I can read it, this amendment will be on Section 3 of Bill 292, beginning on page 4. And the Section 3 is subsection 2912-10 of Article 9, Medically Indigent Program, Chapter 2, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, is hereby amended to read, services provided by public health. With the exception of the regional community health centers of the Department of Public Health and Social Services, the medically indigent program shall not reimburse other DPHSS programs for services provided or rendered. It is further provided that services provided or rendered by DPHSS regional community health centers for patients participating in the medically indigent program for medical, laboratory, and pharmacy services for which a fee is charged shall be eligible for reimbursement by the medically indigent program and deposited into the community health center revolving fund at the fee schedule rates established pursuant to applicable law, rules, and regulations. And if I can just explain a little bit, one of the concerns that were brought up is that current statute now states that the MIP program is not to be charged for services that are provided by the community health centers. And what that has done now is make things very difficult for the community health centers. Number one, Madam Speaker, is that this is one of their requirements, one of their the provisions that is mandated by the federal government is that the community health centers be able to claim reimbursements from Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance companies, and the MIP program, which is a third-party payer. And so that's one of the intentions of this legislation. But the other intention as well, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that the Community Health Center Revolving Fund, which was established by the Guam Legislature, remains stable, and that there's some replenishments that are being made for services that are rendered. Originally, the way it was written here could be interpreted to mean that now the community health centers, if we allow this, may be put in front of the line before private clinics, private physicians, or even the hospital is paid by MIP. And although that that is not the initial intent, it's the intent for the community health centers to be able to, at some point, be able to claim some reimbursements from MIP. And we've heard that and we know that the MIP has been facing shortfalls year after year, and I believe that's an issue that we must address on a separate time. And so what this amendment does here now, Madam Speaker, is I think what this would do is satisfy that requirement that is needed for the community health centers to be able to continue to receive grants from the federal government. And so I'm hoping that with this amendment that my colleagues now would be a little bit more inclined to support the intent of this legislation. So with that, Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Senator. On the amendment, I recognize Senator Yamashita.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I do believe this amendment takes care of a primary issue that was raised yesterday during conversations during recess, which was the whole supplanting issue. I think the notion that there are fees that will be charged and will be eligible reimbursement addresses that, so that we're not depending on certain monies to take care of operations that the local government should be taking care of as our responsibility. So I think that addresses the concerns. There is a technical amendment, Madam Speaker, in line 17. I don't believe we need the apostrophe in between the R and the S. It should just be with the exception of the regional community health centers, but not a possessive word, but a plural word
Okay,
instead.
so on that amendment, without any objection, so ordered. Remove the apostrophe S. Is there anybody else like to speak on the amendment? Senator Guthrie, you're recognized.
I want to say I heartily endorse the amendment and the bill itself. And heartily, yeah. Heartily.
Is it the same?
Hartily.
Oh, so it's not like acquiesce.
No, heartily.
Acquiescence.
Yes.
Okay, Senator Guthrie, you may continue heartily.
Don't acquiesce to my statements. Also, I would like to thank, if I may, Linda DeNorsi Pico for the excellent information that she provided us through the chairman. It was very well written. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome, Senator. On the amendment, any other discussion, senators, on the amendment? Senator Respicio? Oh. Senator Rodriguez, you want to close? You want to send it down? On the motion then to send Bill 292. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is there any objection to the amendment? No objection. No objection? Okay, so ordered. Okay, so is there any objection then to send 292 to the third reading file? Hearing none, ordered. Senators, we've exhausted the agenda and second reading file. So we will recess then until to allow for legal counsel and the clerks to engross all the bills. And I know we had originally scheduled for 4 o'clock to be here. And if I say 3, then that means, of course, whether you're going to be able to make it in time. We'll go ahead and say 3 for now, and if we're not quite ready, then of course, we'll just stay around until we're done. No, tomorrow. No, not today, tomorrow. Okay, so we'll be in recess until 3 o'clock tomorrow.